Hey guys, so the title of this video today is what I'm doing to fix my relationship with God. And I thought that this would be a really good video to make, especially since my channel's so new, because I really don't want to come off like I even think that I'm some kind of super perfect person who's had some kind of super perfect walk with God their whole life. From another perspective, it's like everything happens for a reason and everything is perfect, but at the same time there's a lot of things that I wish I did different, and there's a lot of things that I wish I knew especially when I was younger. So this video is kind of going to be like a lot about me, but also just tips for anybody that's also trying to fix their relationship with God or grow their relationship with God. I'm not writing anything down, so it may be a little all over the place. I do apologize for that, but I just want this to be an honest and true video. To start, I grew up in church. I was born Christian. Both sides of my family were Christian, and we went to church every single Sunday. I was baptized when I was like between 6, 7, or 8. I was baptized. I started to recognize some of my spiritual gifts when I was like a baby. Like I just have always been very spiritual. But when I got to be about 14-ish, like around then, between like 12 to 15, those ages, I had a lot of issues with depression, and I had a lot of issues with socializing and anxiety. I really was struggling with it, and I figured because of that and just some of the bullying that I was dealing with, and like harassment I was dealing with, I remember I decided like God just doesn't like me. Like it really felt like he just didn't like me. Like he knew who I was and he didn't like me. And so I decided, like, since that's how God wants to treat me, I'm going to treat him the same way. And I was like, well, I know God is real, but I don't think that I want to listen to you right now. Like it was a terrible time. I just was like, I don't think I like you since you don't like me, basically. And that's sad that I was going through that much pain, that I felt that way, and I even said it. I was so upset from like some of the abuse I was dealing with and all that, that I knew, if like, why are you sitting watching this, because I know you're real, because of the things I've seen and everything I've been through. I know God was real. So the fact that he was not helping me right then, I felt betrayed, I felt abandoned, and so I figured I didn't like him. So those next years I lived as if I just was going to do whatever I wanted to do, and I didn't care about consequences or feeling condemned or anything like that, because I wanted to do what was going to make me feel happy, because waiting for God to bring me some kind of happiness and hoping that the people around me will treat me differently and that my environment will change, and just hoping for all that wasn't working. And so and I just, I was getting impatient, obviously, and I was, when you're young and you're a kid, you think like it's hard to look into the future sometimes and realize like what's going on right now is not gonna be forever. But so I just, decided I was going to start, basically, I was going to be in the streets a lot more. And I was still young. I just started making a lot of bad decisions as far as like relationships and emotionally. I was just making a lot of bad decisions, doing a lot of bad things that I regret. But it's like, of course, I would change if I could, but I've learned a lot from it. And I wouldn't take anything, I wouldn't change anything, looking back at it now. But I, obviously wish I had made smarter decisions as a teenager, and I'm sure everybody does. That was a time that I could have really leaned on God, because I had, again, grew up in the church, and I knew so much, and I knew so many verses, but I just, because I was going through so much abuse and pain, I did not want to turn to God anymore, because I had been turning to him this whole time, and he wasn't helping me, and he wasn't stopping anything. So I was like, I'm gonna just do different things like of the world that's gonna make me happy. And it did. I mean, I was happy and I wasn't thinking about God. And then it came back. Like, this was over 10 years ago for me. So I'm trying to think, what happened in chronological order. But I know one day when I was living like this, just this kind of lifestyle of not caring, I had a sleep paralysis episode that was very different from anything I had experienced. And I had had sleep paralysis already when I was like 14, I believe, or 13. I had sleep paralysis and I had been dealing with it off and on. But this particular time was the time, like, that I saw a being in my room. And that's a being we'll talk about another time, but it's what people have called the Hat Man. I saw that and it just kind of woke me back up to like, oh, I forgot like who I am. And I'm like, I forgot there's another world out here, and that was my purpose. Like, so I kind of got focused back in with that. But in that, I was not focused on God. So I spent a lot of years focusing on trying to make things real, like not like real for me. Like, I did so much research on Jesus. I did so much research on Israel. I did so much research on that Hat Man, on shadow beings, on sleep paralysis. I was just researching until I literally lost my mind, almost, like trying to find all this proof and all these answers and all this stuff. And one day in about 2023, so now I was about 24, 25 years old. I just realized, and all that I had done to try to make myself happy and make a life for myself was worthless. That's when I realized it. Because I was living downtown. I was living in a nice place that I could not afford, that I did not like, that I did not feel safe in, that I wish I hadn't even moved into, but it was too late. And, well, it wasn't that it wasn't safe, but I was with someone that wasn't safe. Like, I was dating someone that literally tried to kill me. And I just realized, and I wasn't supposed to date that person. Like, God was telling me to leave them alone, and I just was like trying to make myself happy. And it's just like, I realized in about April of 2023, I realized that what I'm trying to do ain't working. And so started getting back into my Bible app, just checking it and researching and just reading and going back to my research. But it was like I was using the Bible this time. And so I got out of that place and moved somewhere else, and I was just thanking God, because I didn't know how I was going to get out of there. And from there, it was like I just started studying a lot more, but I was still interested in a lot of things that I now know are considered pagan. I was interested in crystals. I was interested in herbs. I was interested in meditation, like that pagan meditation, books, esoteric books, mystical books, things like that. And I didn't realize it was wrong. I just didn't. Like a lot of Christians, I figure, it can be bad, but if I make it about Jesus, it's fine. You can't do that. I mean, a lot of people hate to hear that, but I did too. I thought I was fine. I mean, I wasted so much money on these. If you know them crystal pyramid things, they not cheap, the big ones. And I had some, and I had, with the little copper wires in the bottom to stop the radio active frequencies, all of that, girl. I was buying, boys. I just was doing whatever I wanted, and God just doesn't leave you. So it's like I was in there doing all that stuff, and a situation happened. I guess that's where my last video, that's kind of where I'm picking up from in my life. Like, I was thinking I need I need to get this new job so bad, like in this field I've always wanted to do, and this is what's going to make me happy. And I did that, and that was a disaster as well. And so after that happened, I was like, man, I gotta stop trying to make my own life up for myself. I am not doing good at this. So a video popped up that said, a video popped up on my YouTube by Imy's Corner that said, how do you know if you got witchcraft items in your house or something? And I clicked that video, and girl, it was all that stuff in my house that I had, the crystals, the books, all that, girl. I said, oh my goodness. So I gathered all that stuff up. I took a picture of it just so I could show people, like, oh my goodness, I could not believe that the devil had me blind. And then I threw it away. Which, the items, I'm gonna make another video about those items, because you need, like, crystals, y'all. You gotta, to make a long story short, to make a quick little thing, because I will talk about it in the future, but these things are devices. You gotta be very careful. Don't be putting just rocks and things and stuff like that in your house, especially if it's a gift from somebody, because these things can be used to monitor you. Anywhoosie. So the book also was a terrible book. It was like, I thought I was learning about God, and it was like, but it was like Jewish mysticism. It was not, which is a thing for another day. It was not of God. So I threw all that stuff out, and it was just some weird stuff happening around that place I was living there. Because I was under like a spiritual attack when I was there. Because I started getting real close to God, figuring stuff out. And it was like, I just started getting weird dreams and weird things were happening, like dead stuff showing up outside my door. Stuff like that. I think it was because that girl had wanted the job position that I got that I really didn't. If she had wanted the job, she could have just told me she wanted the job. I wasn't even really supposed. That wasn't even my plan. God's plan for me. She really had wanted my job, my office space, y'all. And she had been there longer than me, and I had just started. So you know how that go. And she hated me. I didn't know. I thought we were friends. Next thing I know, she done took my space, and I left up out of there because I said I don't have time for this. And I do stuff. I don't have to do this. I think that girl was a witch, but we'll talk about that another day, because I had dreams that listen. Anyway, so, and actually I know I'm not just saying that. It was witches up in there. I found out it was witches up in that job. That was another reason I left. That's a reason why it was a disaster, and that's a reason why you gotta trust God, because it's the money ain't. Listen, honey. That's why you really gotta trust God, because you don't know what you could be walking into. You think this is your blessing. You walking straight into the gates of hell. So back to the topic. I just was like, girl, what is happening? I started getting really into my Bible after this. All of this started happening. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start reading Psalms, like, and then I started like getting back into what I like to do, like singing. If you would like to hear my music, you could look my name up on the streaming services. I have one good song out right now. Then it was time for me to move out of that place, and that's when I really got serious with God. Once I moved out of that place that I was in that had all those things in it, that, by the way, I'd carried those crystals and all that stuff around with me every place I ever lived, because I thought it was decoration. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna figure life out. I'm gonna have to stop trying to figure out everything on my own. And I'm going to have to let God show me what's going on. And that's when I realized that I was a little bit afraid of, it was like my social anxiety was kicking in with God. I realized I was avoiding prayer sometimes because I was just scared to even talk to him. I realized that I was nervous that he was mad at me still from what I did before. Just deciding I didn't like him, and like I just felt like he was going to use that against me. A lot of the things, how you grew up in your environment and stuff like that, is going to have a lot to do with how you see God. So I've had to work on that, and that's like the first thing that I started doing, just trying to undo the subconscious like beliefs I have of God, and let God be God, and let my experiences of him be that. Now, it was a point where I remember I went in my Bible app and noticed in the corner of the Bible app there was a streak thing, and I had never paid that streak no attention, because personally I thought having a streak in a Bible app don't even sound right. I thought that I'm like, how you gonna put a streak on Jesus? But when I clicked it, I said, I got a streak. I didn't even know. I had a Bible streak for like 70 weeks or something. Like, it was like I had been reading the Bible consistently every week, and that warmed my heart. And I said, you know what? I am going to get closer to God. So I kept reading my Bible. I've truly enjoyed reading the Bible. I mean, it's like, it's harder. If you're someone who grew up a Christian, you may understand what I mean. But it's like, it's hard when you know the stories. Because it's like Genesis, for example. If, like, you've been to church a million times, you know probably every single story in Genesis. You know the whole thing. You know what happened. So, but it's like, you didn't read it. You know, like, and you may have read it. Like, I literally have read Genesis probably twice. I read it when, like, we used to do little Bible studies when I was younger. I read it on my own. But it's like, when you actually get mature enough and at a certain age and you read it for yourself, it's different. Because I obviously, as a kid, you can't understand stuff like the story with Leah. Like, it's very hard to relate to that, like stuff like that. But anyway, that's something else. Then I had to start taking my dreams seriously. Like I mentioned, God has started giving me these dreams and showing me stuff, and it's like, I'm not realizing, like, for example, that, like, why am I going to the same place in my dream, like, every dream for like months, stuff like that. I'm like, why am I, like, I feel like I'm going to the same place, things like that. And like, who are these people? Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. You got to really start looking at your dreams, because God gives the dreams. We do dream. Now, let me just say, because I'd have met some crazy people out here that think every dream they have is from God. We do just have dreams. The Bible makes that clear as well. But he does give us dreams. So I'm just saying, if you're going through a lot and you're praying and stuff like that, make sure that you're paying attention to your dreams and write them down, because you gotta at least give yourself the opportunity to receive the message. So that's something else that has helped a lot. And praying and fasting has made a huge difference as well. Fasting, like, for me, I will only drink water instead of drinking like sodas or juices. Or some days I just won't eat, or I'll at least just not eat from sun up to sundown. And I'll just read my Bible and study. And every time I fast, I feel closer to God. Like, oh man, I gotta remember I don't need these things. Like, I just need God. And I put that feeling onto God instead. And then I get closer to God, and it's like, God hears you. And usually around, like, when I fast, around then, God will show me something I need to know. That's where I'm at right now, honestly. I mean, I can't lie. I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and I'm not perfect. And I want my relationship with God to be even better. But that's just where I'm at now to fix what I went through. To me, at least. I know that God still loves me, but I just know I needed to put in better effort, and I needed to show God that I can be better, and that I can listen to him and follow directions. And that I'm serious about everything I think and want and believe. Like, I want to show God that I'm still me, even though I've made mistakes. Like, I'm still here, and I'm still here to worship and to live God's purpose for me. So that's how I see it, and it's been helping me. So I suggest, like, if you don't do those things, to do them, the things I mentioned, praying and fasting, remembering and writing your dreams down, staying in the Bible. And I'm going to give more advice, like, if you're newer to Christianity, just some good general advice. But doing those things, most importantly, repenting. Like, a lot of Christians don't do that, confess. That's what made the biggest difference. I had to confess Like, when it comes on my heart, like, and I feel guilty about something I did in the past, I automatically take it to Jesus. I'm like, and it was hard for me to start to do that, dude. But I was like, I gotta take it straight to Jesus. And I'm like, Jesus, I'm sorry I was in these streets. And just be honest about it, because he saw you. So you might as well say sorry, you know. And I was honest about it from my heart. And I felt like, so I always feel so much stress get lifted off of my shoulders. Like, I feel like, man, like I was holding a lot in. But now that I've confessed my sins, I feel better. And I know I'll be better because I won't do it again. And I just need to keep growing, because I'm not even perfect. I'm not perfect. I'll be trying to make myself more perfect, so then I feel like God will accept me better. But then sometimes it really surprises me that when I'm not in a good state, God will still come to me. And I'll be at my worst sometimes, and God will still come to me. It's just mind-blowing sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that the people that need to hear what I said will hear it. And don't forget, like, God is real. Like, this is his planet we're on. And it's very nice that he made us to let us be here like this. But it's not up to you what you want to do and how you feel and what your parents may feel or your friends may feel. It's about God. And, you know, everybody on this planet somehow all has to die. Everybody, every single person is going to die, including you, including me. And when you die, it's so funny. Nobody gets to go with somebody else. It's always just you by yourself that has to die. So when you die, you're going to have to face God, the person everyone seems to have been talking about at some point. You're going to have to face him, and he's going to tell you what he's going to tell you. And in the end, you're going to find out where you're going to be spending your eternity until Jesus returns. So it's like, this is real. These are things you're going to see. Even if you die, like, you're going to see the New Jerusalem, the lake of fire, things like that. You don't get to leave what the Father has set up that will happen here, that he's planned. So I would suggest get to know him while you can. Don't wait until the very last second. Anyway, see y'all next time. Bye.